Hello everyone, Carol Garrison with Carol's Creative Escape. It is Monday, May 9th, and it is time for another Make It Monday. And I'm really excited because tonight I get to start really sharing a lot of the new products that are in the in catalog. Before we start that though, I hope everybody had a great weekend. If you are watching this, let me know, because I realized today that I did not actually didn't post anything that I was going to have a class tonight. So I hope most of you know that it is here tonight, and I will get stuff posted going forward. Kind of a crazy weekend, and I just really didn't get around to it. So I apologize for that, but appreciate it. If you did join me, just give me a wave hello and let me know that you're out there. Hope everybody had a great weekend. We had lots of activity and just fun times getting together. Because we haven't been able to take any trips or anything in the last couple of years, thanks to COVID, we spent some of our, what normally would have been travel money, doing a couple repairs, updates on our house, that although it created some disruption, it wasn't horrible. We actually replaced our garage floor, so that did require us to empty our garage, at least the stuff on the floor. Get everything out of the garage, and as long as we were going to have a concrete person here, we also replaced our very old and aging crumbly block patio in our backyard. So we've got a nice slab there, and then that involved replacing our stairs outside of our sliding door going onto the patio, as well as from our house into the garage. And so we haven't been able to use those two entrances in and out of our house, which isn't a huge deal, except for the fact the dog is used to going into the fenced yard to take care of business, and anytime you put a leash on him, he thinks he's going on a long walk. So that was kind of challenging for us, but it's all right. And then Saturday we celebrated Mother's Day with some of my family, had a nice dinner out at a favorite restaurant, and then came back home and just spent some time with the family. And then on Sunday we spent some time with John's mom and his family. So that was very nice. Other than that, it was, the weekend. Today we had a group of storms blow through. Kind of thought maybe we might get hit with some stuff, only because our cars can't go in our garage yet. And there was some really significant hail not very far from our house. But fortunately, we missed all but some rain and wind and only lost one kind of rotten tree branch. So not a big deal. Hey Kay, how are you today? So let me go ahead and get started. The card we're making tonight is actually featuring some of this beautiful designer series paper in the new catalog. It's called Pretty Prints, and I'm going to go ahead and flip my camera around so we can get started with that. And I apologize for shaking things up, but just let me get that flipped. Just a moment here. You can enjoy my lighthouse picture and my messy desk, which I really don't want anybody seeing, but it happens. Actually, my desk, I kind of cleaned it up beforehand, so hopefully it's not too bad. All right, so anyhow, the card we're making features this really pretty designer series paper called Pretty Prints, and it comes in Blackberry Bliss. I initially called this Just Jade, and it's like, no, this Just Jade retired. This is actually Bermuda Bay on this color, Calypso Coral, and then Evening Evergreen. And you can tell I've used bits and pieces. I don't think I have a piece of 12 by 12 paper left, but it just comes with this really pretty print. It's great for background. I think this could be really pretty on a scrapbook page too. So it's just kind of a real splashy background, and then just ferns and kind of leaf imprints. And then here's another piece of the Blackberry Bliss. This is, a whole piece with a lot of open space here. And then this design carrying over again, I think could make a really cool scrapbook page. And then just an all over design in the Blackberry Bliss color. And the third pattern is a fairly solid, you can't probably tell so much on the camera, but it does kind of have a bit of an ombre effect. So, a little bit darker and then works its way up to slightly lighter tones. And in the front side, it's got Again, more of the leaves and different types of botanical images on it. And like I said, it's the same three or four, 6 prints, I guess, but it just comes in the different colors. I think this is the most designer series paper I've used this early into a catalog year. I may actually have to get even more of this because it is very pretty. I really like this evening evergreen, and you can see that there's a lot of shading that occurs on the paper. It's kind of random. This isn't just my light reflecting off here or anything. And there's more of the solid piece, kind of the all over. I really like this. It was hard for me to cut in, but I needed some of that solid for the cards I was making. And then here we go in the Calypso Coral as well. So you can see that it's a very versatile set of papers, great for scrapbooking and also great for kind of the background cards. So this is the designer series paper that I'm featuring in my card tonight. I've actually combined that with one of the new stamp sets that's called Botanical Layers. And this is just a real fun set. It's got just a couple greetings. You mean the world to me. Thank you for everything and thinking of you. And then it's just got these fun images. I used it in one of my exploding cards last weekend, at least these little flowers. So I think there's a lot of potential for this card and making it. I'm a little crooked here. You don't need to see my lap, do you? Let me slide this up a bit. All right. Anyhow, kind of a fun card, and I actually used these 2 stamps. My greeting came from a different stamp set. It is from the Flowing Flowers stamp set, and the reason for that is I really wanted this just a note saying. It kind of fit the card I was making. And then the other tool that I used are these fabulous new stylish shapes. If you remember the stitch shapes dies that we used to have, this is a great new addition. There's actually more circles and more squares than what we had before. And then there's 4 different banners as well. And I used this banner die in our card today too. It fit real perfectly, but I'm so happy to have dies like this back in the catalog because I really do like these stitched ones, and circles and squares are kind of the go-to for a lot of the stamps that we have. So anyhow, that is what we're featuring. So let me show you real quick the cards that we're making. I should say card. I've actually made them using the evening evergreen. This is kind of a little fun fold card. It opens up. The original card that I saw actually had another flap here that folded over, and then you could have a big writing space kind of on the inside. But I was trying to figure out a good way to keep this fold, be able to make multiple cards without going through tons and tons and tons of cardstock, and keeping it a weight that you could easily mail. And this was kind of the solution that I came up with, which is why I wanted that just a note, because inside there's just a little space to write a quick note to somebody. And so you can kind of see that the images that I've used, I've done some 3rd generation stamping here to get the lighter images in the background. Pop this just a note up on dimensionals, and we've got a quick and easy card. So here it is in Evening Evergreen, Bermuda Bay, and the Calypso Coral. So the card I'm going to show how to make is going to look just like this, but it's going to be made with the Blackberry Bliss. And boy, I am not sure which color I like best yet, because they're all really pretty. But I'm thinking Blackberry Bliss might be up there for me simply because I really like that color, and it's not one I use a lot of. So to start with, I'm not quite ready for that. Let me give you card measurements. And the pieces that you need, it is 5.5 by 6, and you score it at 1 3/4. So again, 5.5 by 6, scored at 1 3/4. And then you've got another piece of cardstock that measures 3.5 by 7, scored at 3.5 inches. So that makes kind of the front little card. And then I've taken 2 pieces, let's see, let me go with this one first. 1 piece of designer series paper that measures 4 by 5 1/4. And that'll be on the inside of our card. And then there's another piece of designer series paper that measures 1 1/2 by 5 1/4. And then I've taken 2 pieces of kind of the background-ish without a lot of pattern on it, pieces of designer series paper that measure 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. And I didn't want a lot of design that I'd be covering up, you know, this pretty design, because I'm going to be covering it up with a piece of 3 by 3 basic white cardstock. And then just some scrap basic white cardstock to stamp my Just a Note image there. And so what I like about this card is it gave me a way to use my designer series paper. I don't know about you, but sometimes it's really hard for me to use designer series paper. And then at the end of the season, I end up, or end of a catalog, you end up with all this really pretty designer series paper and you can't use it. Well, you can use it. I just can't use it to make cards with, to share with you guys anymore, because you can't get the paper. So I am trying on, I'm kind of on a mission with this catalog to really use all of the designer series paper that I get, and not just use it to show you one sample, but actually use it all up. So that's my goal, and hopefully this card is going to give you some incentive to show off some of that beautiful designer series paper that you have. So the first thing you're going to do is fold this flap over and burnish it. We're going to set that aside, and I'll take this piece of cardstock, and again I'm going to fold it along the score line and give it a good pressing down with my bone folder. And then we're going to set everything else aside, and I'm going to show you how I stamped the image that was on the front of the card. I think I'm going to go with this piece. It's just a little bit flatter. You're definitely going to want a piece of cardstock to stamp on, because you're going to be doing a little bit of stamping on and off. So to start with, I'm going to take my Blackberry Bliss ink pad, and just be careful before you stamp to check to see if you got anything caught on your edges. I don't want you wasting cardstock if you can help it. So I had a little bit there, but I think I'm actually going to be okay with where that is. So to start with, I've got my image here. I'm going to stamp it in the middle pretty much so that this part of it ends up at the top of my card piece here, my cardstock piece. And this is a fairly random sort of stamping that I'm doing. And now, because I probably pressed my luck by not cleaning this off the first time, just wipe it off on my chamois. Okay. And then dry it off real quick on my jeans, because that's why I wear jeans when I'm making cards. It won't show if I have to do something like that. All right, and then I'm going to just twist this a little bit and line this piece up so it sort of hits in between those branches and stamp it back down. There is no perfect way of doing this, so you know, if you don't end up quite where I did, it's okay, don't worry about it. And then I'm going to ink it up, and this time I'm going to line this little piece so it's kind of right in there. Mostly I'm trying to create sort of a full bouquet. So it's going to end up looking like that. Again, it's not going to be perfect, just make it look somewhat like that. All right, let me get this cleaned up so I don't set any card pieces on it. And then I'm going to take the next image, which is the little leaves that are in the Botanical Layers set. There's actually 2 sets of leaves, and I'm using the smaller set. I tried it with this, and it just kind of overwhelmed the project. I thought the little leaves worked better. I am using a very dark color of ink, and if I stamp this right on top of here, you wouldn't see any definition of anything. So I played with this a little bit, and I am actually stamping it off 3 times. And then I'm going to start by putting this just right in the middle to provide a little bit of background. Ink it back up, And again, I'm going to 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to tilt that. And what I'm trying to do is just get this in the background of this design. 1, 2, 3. And there we go. And then the other thing that I did, like I said, was stamp the greeting and die cut it. I went ahead and did that ahead of time. Although, you guys, I just got, I'm going to go make a little segue here. I've been going back and forth on whether I wanted the mini cut and emboss machine. And they had it on sale. Was it in May? Was it in March? March, I think it was. And I wasn't going to get it, and I ended up getting it. This is so stinking cute. If you guys like little things, wow. This is the little cut and emboss machine. So it obviously is fitting in my cameras. You can kind of see by hand size how big it is. And it comes with the plates, including directions on how to layer your plates for when you're doing your die cut. So this little die cut that I made, it was just perfect for using this because I could stack it up in my sandwich, put my die on my piece of paper, and crank her through right here at my table without taking up a ton of space. And I ended up with that. It's so fun. And again, it's so cute. How could you not want something like this? Mini cut and emboss machine, and it comes with 2 of the clear plates, the base plate, and then there are also for doing embossing folders, depending on whether it's a 3D embossing folder or a regular embossing folder. So just like the big cut and emboss machine, is just a cute little small version of it. All right, anyhow, I digress. Let's go ahead and start assembling our pieces here. And I'm going to take my adhesive. And like I've said in previous things, I love cards that look super fancy and like you spent a lot of time, but are actually pretty easy to make and easy to kind of mass produce. And I'm actually making this as part of a card swap that I'm participating in. And so I was able to get cards made once I had my design. I think maybe within an hour I was able to get all of my cards made, and that included some ball throwing time with the dog down here as I was working. So we're just going to put some adhesive and add this to the inside of the card, but again, it's going to show. And like I said, I really love how the paper coordinates, and then just being able to show it off in the card. We have so much pretty paper, and so often we're afraid to use it, and that is not going to happen this year. Okay, then for this little card that's going to sit on the front, on the inside it's just a basic layer, and because I did have such a small writing space, I chose not to put any decoration on it at all. You know, I wanted to be able to write my little note as much as I can. So this particular card I left blank. All right. And then the front of the card is basically going to be a repeat of the layers. We'll take our designer series paper. And you could use this pretty paper, you know, it's kind of like old records. You got a side A and a side B. You could do that either way. It's just not a lot is going to show. But it doesn't matter. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I mean, you can see if you did that, it would kind of look, you'd see this much around the borders. So it still works. It's just what you might like in a card. Let me hold it up a little closer so you can see. So you get just a little bit of decoration on the edge. Either way works. So do what your heart wants to do with the designer series paper. Just use it. Okay. And then I'm going to layer this piece on top of here. And then this is going to get attached to this outside flap. And I tried it a couple different ways, and what I found worked best for me was to first put it on and kind of eyeball it, so I had an idea of where I was going to place it. And then I just took my tape, my adhesive, and ran a couple strips. I think I did 3 strips just to hold it because I didn't want it popping off, but staying to the edge here so that when I stick it down, there's no adhesive that's going to show through once the card is opened up. So let's go ahead and now I can center it on my card. And I did a good job because I don't have any adhesive here, which is always a good thing. Then the last thing we're going to add is the greeting. And what I like about this greeting is it gets real busy down here, but when you add that on top, it kind of lightens things up again and just allows the eyes to focus on this part of the card. And so I was really pleased with how this one turned out. So let's go ahead and we'll peel the backs off our dimensionals. And we're going to pop that on the front. And on this card, I even opted not to use any Wink of Stella, and I'm not putting any, well, maybe I should put on a few. Let's see what it looks like. I'm going to get out some of my rhinestones. Let's just see what they look like on here. I don't think this is a Wink of Stella kind of card, but I think maybe a little bit of bling might be a good thing. And I'm just trying to find my take your pick tool. You guys realize I got my whole card assembled and I didn't have to look for anything? I think that's a first. Yay, Carol. All right. Let me actually put the pointy end away. I'm going to grab the sticky part. Twist just a little bit out. And let's see, we'll put something here. Maybe something right there. And you know me, the rule of 3. We'll put one right down there. I think that helps. We'll add just a little bit of bling. All right, if I did it here, I got to do it on these now. So over the weekend, my son and his wife also have, in addition to a 6-month-old, you might have heard me talking about her, they picked up a 9-week-old golden retriever puppy. And she came up to our house for the first time, and oh, I really, really considered getting one of the puppies in this litter, and I decided against it, and I'm glad that I did, because puppies are really a lot of work, and I just don't have time to give a puppy. But Cleo was very sweet, and I have a dog who, especially on leash, isn't always, he's got some leash aggression issues, but usually in person is pretty good. But he came out of a hoarding situation with upwards of about probably 40 dogs. So he's a little possessive when it comes to his toys and things like this. And bless his heart, he was so good, because Cleo came and took his favorite toy. I didn't want that to go there. And he didn't growl the first couple times. Just pulled her across the room by grabbing one of the legs of his toy. It was kind of funny. And then towards the end, he'd had enough of sharing and let Cleo know it was time to give up. But unfortunately, with fresh concrete in our backyard on the patio, we weren't able to let him go outside and run. So I'm hoping next time we see them that we'll get a chance to do that, because I think they will be good energy burners for each other. Kind of like where I placed that one on the other cards. All right, so here you go. It's kind of another one of those little card in a card sort of things. It really focuses on showing off our beautiful designer series paper. So this is the Pretty Prince in Blackberry Bliss, Calypso Coral, Bermuda Bay, and Evening Evergreen. Let me know in the comments which color you like best. I still think I do like the Blackberry Bliss, but I kind of think that Bermuda Bay is growing on me a little bit too. Let me know what your favorite color is in the comments. I'd appreciate hearing from you on that. So that is my card for this week. I have another fun foldy type card planned for next week. I'm hoping I can make it work with the stamp set that I want to use. So I gotta play with that one a little bit more. But I appreciate you taking time to tune in tonight. If you know somebody who might like this, please feel free to share it. And give me a thumbs up or a comment here. I really do appreciate that. And look forward to sharing some more cards with you in the upcoming week. I do get to go to a craft weekend this weekend, so I'm hoping I come back with some fun things to share with you that I put together over the weekend as well. So take care, everyone. Have a great night, great week, and we will see you next week for another Make It Monday. Bye-bye.